Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April 26th edition of Weekly Manga Recap. I am Nick, joined by Quinn, and we are here to talk about those black and white illustrated stories that are called comic books. But also manga.
Is April 26th something? Like, what spurred you to go into this? Is like...
Because I need to get energy from something,
Oh,
Quinn.
hell yeah. Then today we will talk about all of your favorite manga franchises. Even the ones you don't like.
Even the ones you don't want us to talk about. I gotta... Oh, you know what?
You can't stop us from talking about Cipher Academy as much as you try.
It brings us joy. Shut up. Yeah, it's this is an odd week. It's always an odd week when there's a Boruto chapter. We'll get to that when we get to that. And there's also some just kind of like some stuff going on. Like this will be our last day without manga for a little while because there's not going to be any series for the next week. I mean, there's some stuff that happens to fall on the update calendar, so that okay, there will be a couple things that come out yet this week, but then no Shonen Jump this coming Sunday, so we'll be taking a break. So. Let's see how many things we get that leave us excited to come back to manga, and which ones don't.
We have so many to talk about, so
we do.
You know, who really knows? Let's see what happens. I guess there's only one place to start, Nick, and that's with superheroes, everybody's favorite franchise.
Everyone's favorite franchise. No one has grown tired of this genre at all whatsoever.
Nope, stronger than ever.
Definitely don't see opinion pieces about it coming out once a week for the past 7 years. Yeah, so it's My Hero Academia to kick things off. So I know where we end up in this chapter, but it still kind of baffles me a little bit the way that people talk about things in the beginning, because we have our let's face it, unimportant characters discussing the situation. There is one person in this group of people who has a name. And that's all I can really say for Tsukauchi. Can you say he has a personality? Who is he? He's the police guy that works with All Might sometimes. So some other guys say, oh, there's something really, really bad going on because there's all these heroes that are on their last legs because the tide of the battle has turned. All for One, of course, took out a whole bunch of people. The clones that Toga summoned are keeping a bunch of people busy, etc. And they're saying, "Oh my God, look at Dabi, his heat. It's growing so incredibly enormous and powerful." And so they're like, "Well, what's going on? Is Endeavor dead?" No, but he's going to die definitely because our analysis is conclusive. Ever since Dabi was knocked out the first time, he's been building up heat inside and hasn't stopped condensing thermal energy within. And at the current pace, at around 10 minutes or so, maybe even just a few minutes, he'll annihilate himself. And when that condensed thermal energy is released, it'll trigger a high-pressure explosion that will burn off the map within 5 kilometers.
There's a lot of dialogue this chapter. We gotta get to it. You know what is interesting to me, and I'm not complaining. I want to stress I am a-okay with this decision. We've spent out so much time blasted around to every person interfering in the All for One fight, and not once did we really ever touch base of what was going on with Endeavor and Dabi. That's kind of just been in the background. Kind of appreciate it. It was amusing to me for them to just be like, "Is Endeavor dead?" They're like, no, but he's not doing well, or whatever. We don't have time to even show him this chapter. We got too much else to do.
He's not nowhere to be found. The only problem that I have with this is like, where is this analysis coming from? What sciencey bullshit did you guys do to come to this conclusion?
Mr. Science is in the background, and he has a little microscope. He's like, oh, I do believe that it looks like Dobby is going to explode.
Well, he is Mr. Science, and so clearly he must know what he's talking about.
You know his quirk is just that his toenails grow really long. He's not a science-based superhero. He just calls himself Mr. Science. You know, if he was really a scientist, he'd be Dr. Science, right? Like, no, Mr. Science says so.
How are you even science-themed at all? Do you have a degree? Nope!
This
lab coat is just part of my uniform! That's the great thing about being a superhero. You can just, like, claim a name, and you don't have to actually, like, have anything that's any degrees or anything associated with the title.
Sometimes I hit people with a microscope.
I also sometimes call myself Mr. Science Esquire, even though I've never passed the bar.
I don't even know what it means. It just sounds sexy, and I want it.
Does passing the bar mean that you go out for drinks sometimes? Is that what that means? I don't know.
But Mr. Science does have an established pedigree from the Universal Life Church Online, and I believe it's one and the same.
That is even worse than if you had no credentials. I just want you to know. The important thing is not only is Dobby going to explode and the giant massive fireball explosion is going to go off that will blow up everything for 2.5 miles, but one of the blocks that is part of the UA shelter is happening to pass through that area on its way from the UA site to Shiketsu. And who should be inside? Which of those cubes should it be? But the one, of course, that was delayed by the sabotage that we saw in the previous chapter, which means that the Todoroki family is in that shelter, so they're in danger, and they're going to definitely be vaporized if someone doesn't do something. And on top of all of that, All For One is moving, and if he meets up with any of the other super powerful villains, then things are going to get really bad. Tsukauchi looks upset because I don't know. He's a bad coordinator. He's not doing anything to solve this situation. He just looks upset.
I love that he's still just shaking this guy, like just so he can get like the little thing going in there, what's going on? But you can just see his head like hanging there. I'm like, did he just shake him to death? Did he kill this poor person?
That's why he looks upset. Yeah. He's like, oh no, once this is over.
Oh man, I'm going to jail. Wait, no, they blew them all up. I'm safe. He's like, yes.
Oh, I love the supervillains. So Ida's got a plan though, which is he's going to run and he's going to take Shoto with him. And he gives a big speech to Shoto to try and raise his spirits because Shoto's upset about all the stuff that's happening involving his very, very, very twisted and bad family situation, and his villainous brother is going to kill everyone. But Ida brings up like, hey, look, I know that all the feelings you've been dealing with have probably been driving you to do some horrible things, but the kind soul who taught me to never forget who I want to become, why is this your emotional burden to bear? Basically, it's like he tells him like, "Hey, you helped me to pick me up when I was at my low point. Let me do the same for you." And they've kind of occasionally had some team ups that haven't really been consistently happening, but that's because they're members of Class 1A. So that doesn't happen for a lot of people. So Tsukauchi is not the one who tells them to do stuff. No, that's All Might, who legitimately does something insanely cool out of nowhere in this chapter, and he starts to giving coordinating efforts and says to Ida, hey, you know how to run, right? And Todoroki, I know that you've got all this inner turmoil from everything that you've been dealing with in your entire life up to this point, but you've got a mighty ally waiting for you in the wings. And he tells him like, you've got to stop Toya and you've got to make everyone feel safe again so that you could be your best self. And I'm sure that the two of you working together could be a dynamic duo. You're their only hope. So Todoroki's like, well, Ida, your engine's solid though. Like, what are you gonna do? And he is like, the rain's been cooling my engines down. I'm good. Piggyback time! And he sticks his mouth filter thing on Todoroki's face because this is gonna suck. And he just gets set to race through the goddamn city. And Stain watches all of this.
He's fucking Sonic the Hedgehog, Nick, rolling around at the speed of sound. That's what he's doing. He's rolling across buildings.
I mean, he does start doing that.
Yeah, he's following his rainbow.
Yeah.
There's no joke here, Nick. He's fucking doing it, all right? He's goddamn Sonic the Hedgehog, and we should appreciate it.
Yeah, meanwhile, Stain's over there like, I just like the Shadow theme songs. That's all I care about. I don't know what these lyrics are.
Yeah, Dark Machine, whatever the other one was. All my favorites.
So he's watching while this happens. He's like, oh, right, I nearly stabbed that kid to death. Yeah, look at how far he's come, I guess. And Ida tears through the skyline, just blasting through windows, leaving chunks out of buildings because he's just running so fucking fast.
Has Ida always had an undercut?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
In my mind, I just never really picked up on it because he feels like he has such a.
He's
proper
always had
haircut.
the bangs.
Okay.
So,
In my mind, I always think he has such like a proper haircut.
Yeah, he's always had the bangs, so it kind of hides that. So Tsukauchi gets on the radio then because he realizes that All Might's going to do something, and sure enough, All Might has driven out to a particular site that it is directly in the path of All for One, and he says, "This has always been my fight. You must remember the endless warring that got us here. Now that I hear that Tamura Shigaraki's hatred is even affecting your original body, I'm thinking you won't be able to ignore me. Isn't that right?" And he just steps out into the middle of the rain while the most powerful, horrible villain in the history comes towards him. And he takes out a support item and whips it out and says, "I am here!" And that's where we end our chapter. All Might is squaring off against his old foe, who is heading straight towards him. And that's our chapter title, too. I am here. So I don't know how exactly we got into this scenario, but All Might decided, well, no one else is going to stop him, so I'll do it myself. And he is.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
here we go.
This is powerful, like the Dark Knight Returns moments where Batman puts on like a powered suit and is just like, "Come at me, Superman, you bitch! I'm gonna fight you." Like it's kind of the same energy here. He just shows. I mean, he's literally got the fucking Batmobile next to him at this point, and he's just like, Hercules. I'm gonna put on my little weapons and try to fight God."
It feels like that sequence would have been very different if Batman had actually said, "Come out here, Superman, you bitch."
I mean, look, I always try to zhuzh up my references, and I do feel like it would have been better if he called Superman a bitch a couple more times.
Yeah, so where we start in this chapter is weird to me. Where we end up feels to be sudden, but not unwelcome. So, yeah.
I like the chapter. I think it was a little wordy at times. Like, I almost wish... I know the scene wasn't ultimately about Ida, but I really do like that line of, like, "Ida, you know how to run, don't you?" And, like, then bolting off. I felt like it was going to be a really cool moment, but then there's, like, a page and a half of, like, exposition of, like, now Todoroki, I think this is... And you're just like, okay, kind of kills a little bit of the momentum.
Like, Ida gets all set. He's like, all right, I'm going to run this up. Now, Todoroki. All right, let's wait and listen.
He's got a quick one-liner for you, too.
Yeah, all right, right.
All right, it's been a little bit longer than a one-liner.
Shouldn't we be doing something? It's like, look, All Might's probably gonna die. Just let him get his Type 5 in. It's okay.
I'm gonna put my engines in neutral. It feels like this is gonna take a little bit. I don't want to waste the gas.
He just starts slowly drifting forward.
Just sliding across the ground. Hey, Ida, could you slow down a little bit? Try to hear All Might.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, we're going the wrong. Hold on, sorry, we're going the wrong way. He like has to put his arm out and like look over his shoulder as he backs.
I never realized you were exactly a car.
Just a car. Ah, damn it! Those kids stole my CDs. They could. Fortunately, they couldn't carjack me though because I put the bullets in.
He just puts like a knife through his pants, like into the ground. He's like, "Can't stop! No one can steal me now."
Is that why you've just been walking into walls the last several hours? Yeah. Anyway, I guess we should move on.
Yeah. Let's talk about Undead Unluck number 156. Right Stuff. And we open with Sean and Gina apologizing for jumping aboard the vessel, and Fuko's response is to glower. I don't know how else to describe this. It is an intense glower. She basically is just like, I'll reprimand you both later, but right now we need your help. So it's time to dock. I'm going to go out and try to find a place we could dock. Creed, you had to handle debris. Nico, you're going to have to take navigating the ship. And Gina, we need you to use your Unchange to basically make a tunnel out of the Unchange that we can use to dock with, essentially. So, and then they're like, Sean, you're on standby. We don't really need you for anything.
You don't realize
you never know. Yeah. So they're like, all right, we're going to do it. Fuko's flying off. She's got little rockets. And we get like a quick note like, oh, hey, there's only so much power inside your rockets or whatever. So just keep note of that just because it comes up later. And Gina gives this little thing like, are you mad at me? And Fuko's just like, thanks so much for helping. And Gina's like, oh, fuck, she's pissed. Fuko has a moment, though, in space where she gets to be like, wow, this is actually my second time in space. But this is, the first time I'm kind of realizing just how beautiful and desolate this all is. And Phil wasn't just born in this environment. He was raised here for years. And, something must have destroyed it. It's like, what happened here?
It's nice to know that it's nice to have that assurance that Fuko is not a soulless billionaire. Yes. I mean, you would think that that's obvious, but it's just nice to know for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico kind of comments like, Fuko just notes again, like, Mr. Nico, space is beautiful and terrifying. And he's like, yep, even more so the more we learn about it.
Yep.
But that's just the kind of place.
I hear there's guns out there.
We just see one floating by. Like, damn, Toriko was right. So Creed is like, all right, I got to start firing off these debris. And Fuko says, shattering it, or I guess actually it's Nico who says this. He's like, shattering it will just make more debris. So use the repelling bullets I made. And basically doing that will cause them to kind of like repel one another. Like if you fire one, then the rest will like make them go. I guess they're like magnets essentially. It's not super clear, but the meteors won't hit without exploding. And then there is just a little comedic note that's like, hey, just so you know, each one of those costs $100 billion to make, but you're using a decrease, so who gives a shit?
It costs $200 trillion to fire this weapon for 10 seconds.
Sean asks, of course, like, why does it matter if you get hit by a little rock? And then they have to explain, like, this rock is traveling at a speed that will fucking, like, explode your body into pieces if it hits you. It's not going to not bonk you on the noggin. It's going to eviscerate your fucking corpse.
It's amazing that Undead Unluck is capable of making people understand these concepts of space travel better than Earthchild, which was all about this stuff in its entire run.
Gina is creating this tunnel, but she's like, I don't know if I made it or not because there's no dust or rain or anything out here. Nothing is landing on my Unchanged to actually like let us visibly see what I've done. And they're like, fuck, space is really fucking with things. Like, this is really bad. Everyone's like, well, maybe I should go check. Maybe I should do it. Fuko doesn't have enough fuel to go and check it. Mr. Creed is busy. Nico's like, they're like, Niku, you need to navigate us, because if you hit the station, then it's all just fucked up. So Sean takes it upon himself to be like, I'm climbing the tunnel, I'm checking the pipe. And he actually does get a cool line, because he's like, it's all I could do. Besides, one of my brothers made this, and there's not going to be any holes in it. I ain't scared. And thankfully, he's right. There is no hole until he gets to the end.
Yeah, there's no holes. It
just ends. But now they know basically the trajectory they're trying to go for, so they're gonna steer the little pipe in. But suddenly, as they get close, the controls are taken away from Nico, and he's like, "Oh my god, is someone hacking us?" Wait, no, they're maneuvering us in. They're actually like making this automatic. Like, who is this? And it was like a flawless connection. They now can dock absolutely peacefully. They get on board the ship. There are some apologies. Gina is very sad and scared. She's just like, I didn't realize space was so scary. I wouldn't have brought us up here if I had known. Fuko is, like, yeah, it's going to be all right. They're like, hey, got to find Phil. That's our mission here. We're going to divide into 2 groups. I'm going to take the kids, Creed and Nico. You guys, stay together. So they split up. Fuko's heading along, and they're like, wow, there's like a lot of damage to this ship. Like, there's just holes and shit everywhere. And they're like, maybe we'll be able to figure out what exactly happened here once we find Phil. But let's locate the shelter. It's been 5 days since his attack. Like, who knows what's like how they're mentally holding on. Then they see a figure standing in the hallway, and it's Phil. And they're like, oh, cool, he's safe after all. Wait a minute, doesn't he need air? Yeah, Phil needs air. Or doesn't, apparently. Because he's just walking up, and Fugo's like, yeah, there's no air here. How is this kid okay? And he just walks up to Sean, and he like kind of like does that little kid thing where he like kind of tugs on the shirt. And he's like, save mom. Bum, bum, bum.
This is a very intriguing chapter. It's of course creepy at the end with the appearance of Phil, who legitimately looks terrifying. And bizarrely enough, I think the bow tie contributes a lot to
it. It really does. The bow tie and the little suspenders, yeah, it's a creepy like Victorian child in space thing.
I love the way that the air tunnel thing is played out, though, and honestly, the part of this that I'm really curious about is like, what the hell was with the controls? Like, was that Phil or was it somebody else that caused that to happen? And even if it was Phil, it's like, well, how? Like, what's that have to do with unfeeling or whatever?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very curious to see where things are gonna go from here, and it's definitely appropriate that this, ruined, abandoned space station setting is immediately disconcerting.
Yes, it's extremely cool. We got a lot of like little neat moments. I really like the characterization throughout the chapter. I like Gina just like at the end being like, I didn't realize space was gonna be so scary. I'm so sorry for bringing us up here. I like Sean like taking it upon himself to be like, this is a dangerous thing that no one else could do. I'll do it, and acting like he's confident because he's like, one of my friends made this, so why would I be concerned?
Whoops! I almost fell into nothing.
I almost died. Yeah, it was just a cool little details all around. Nice little fun characterization. Like I just said, a pretty creepy ending here.
Okay.
Nick, come on.
Yeah.
Why are we pausing? What's happening?
I just need to prepare myself. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's Boruto, chapter number 80. What Dad would do. So last time, as a result of Ada's super omnipotent powers, Kawaki and Boruto switched places so that now Kawaki is the Hokage's son, and Boruto is the one responsible for them being disappeared, and Kawaki has told Ada to communicate to Shikamaru that Boruto killed Naruto. Which, by the way, similar name, blonde hair, blue eyes, whisker marks. Nobody who is specifically not affected by Ada's powers thinks that that's in any way suspicious. Whatever. Omnipotent power switch, sure. Mitsuki is not listening to Sarada when she's telling him like everything's weird and everything. Sumire also realizes that something has happened after the big flash that went out. Sarada has just learned that the Hokage is dead, and she's like, "What is going on?" and falls to her knees. Mitsuki's like, "I'm gonna kill him," and leaves. So Kawaki just says to Ada like, "Yeah, so he's just some Hokage killing Otsutsuki now. He's the #1 enemy of all of Konoha. He's no longer welcome here." And Ada's like, I mean, did you really need that to happen though, to tell them all that he killed the Hokage? And Kawaki just says, well, now no one's going to interfere if I have to kill Boruto. Pragmatic. Yeah, and he says I'll just leave the Hokage sealed away until I kill Boruto, and then that'll be it. And he'll be safe in the meantime. Damon catches up to them and has a lot to contribute to the conversation going on by being present. Yep. Sasuke finds Sarada, and Shimi is like, everyone's acting weird. Mitsuki says he's going to kill Boruto. What's going on? And Sasuke says, I mean, I understand why Mitsuki wants to kill Boruto. He killed Naruto. She's like, what were you talking about? It's like, well, yeah, I've got to stop Boruto before he leaves Konoha. So Sarada's like, what is going on? And Sumire, with communication jutsu, I guess, contacts Sarada, or maybe she doesn't. Maybe they've got a radio. I don't know. There's crackles around the word bubble, so it seems like it's radio transmission thing. And her dad's not her dad. Katasuke's not her dad. Whatever. Maybe it's a radio thing. So she says, hey, Sarada, do you think you're sane?
What? All right. Fair enough.
Boruto gets attacked by Shikijai and company, and they're like, you tried to kill your bro and the Hokage too. That just ain't what a friend does. Work on those one-liners, Shikijai.
He's working. He's gonna get there. This is his first important scene in this manga.
Hey, what about that one time that he just wanted to look at Ada, so he lied about not being affected by her ability, and then just was told to leave immediately?
All right, yeah, I guess.
All right, you are a horny 12-year-old. We get it. Leave.
please go home.
We catch up again with Sumire and Sarada, and Sumire's like, hey, look, you're not affected by Ada's jutsu, remember? I think that her power has somehow changed things, because you and I are the only ones who are not affected by it, and we were the only ones who weren't affected by her abilities before. Exceptions for Otsutsuki-related people. So Sarada looks up at Sasuke, and while she continues to talk with Sumire, who has basically read the script and understands exactly what they need to do in this situation.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a problem with her understanding what's going on or what to do, but the fact that Sarada is so in the dark and she is so in the know when they have literally all the exact information to act on is a bit weird. And also, again...
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, and also, again, it just doesn't make Sarada look good.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like if you had, established something, I guess Sumire was also the one who seemed to pick up on the fact that her powers weren't, or that something was going on that was making it so her and Sarada weren't being sucked into Ada's charm, I think, right?
Correct.
So maybe this is just a way to establish she's good at picking it. I want to say it's genjutsu, but it's explicitly not. It's just reality warping powers. So I guess it's just her way of saying she's got a good knack for this kind of thing and figuring these things out.
Yeah, I know that she is quote unquote the class representative, which means that she is the
Very smart.
yeah, she's a top student at not ninja school because she's not a ninja. Uh, she so she says like, look, based on the fact that you and I aren't affected, we're basically the only ones who can actually help Boruto right now. But I don't really know what we can do. So Sasuke is still trying to get Sarada's attention, and so she says to him, look, Boruto didn't do anything. He would never kill the Hokage. Everyone's being tricked. And Sasuke's like, I mean, okay, maybe that's true, but he definitely did try and kill Kawaki. And she's like, no, he didn't. So next bit. So Shikadai has gotten Boruto trapped in his shadow Shikamaru's ability. So he's little Shikamaru. That's all you need to know about what he can do with his powers.
Little baby Shikamaru.
So he says to Boruto, how could you betray us like this? Say something, you monster! And Momoshiki shows up to be the devil on Boruto's shoulder and be like, oh, you're going to be cute.
Wait, we should kill your friends.
Kill your friends! Do it! Just let me kill your friends! Give your body to me! I definitely won't betray you in any way! Ooh! Sasuke tries to, say, look, Sarada, you're clearly been going through a lot right now, so why don't you just go home and I'll go take care of things. And Sarada grabs onto him and says, like, look, no, you don't need to understand what I'm saying. You need to listen to me. Listen to the first and only selfish favor I'll ever ask. And as she looks up at him, she's so upset by everything that has happened that her Mangekyo Sharingan awakens. That thing that's supposed to happen when you, like, kill your most loved one, it just happens because she's really upset. So... okay.
It's not the best look that, like, the first time we've seen a female character activate the Mangekyo Sharingan that I can remember. There might be someone I'm forgetting. It's not like... I mean, the other scenarios are also very cryy and emotional, but they're also, like, this is, like, dark, cynical, like, this is my soul, very Linkin Park and whatnot, and this one's very much like, Dad, please believe me, and I'm like, I wish this was a cooler scene, but I do also just like that Sasuke is listening to his fucking kid, like, it's such bare minimum in this story, but I was like, good job, Sasuke, for listening to your kid.
In a sea of bullshit, Sasuke is consistently the most kind-hearted and reasonable character in Boruto. So yeah, because this incredibly emotional thing has happened to Sarada, and he recognizes that, like, oh wow, she's like crazy serious. He starts to listen to her. Momoshiki starts to take over Boruto's body. He's like, if you dare hurt my friends, I'll never forgive you. And Momoshiki's like, oh, yeah. Oh, your friends. Yeah. Look at all your friends surrounding you. The guy's trying to kill you. What good friends they are. Yeah. Everyone wants you dead. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you. You're a loser, you big weedy.
Just Boruto like, all right, I feel like we can cut this back. You're supposed to be on my side right now. Like...
Oh, no, let me save your life, you loser.
You little crybaby. Yeah.
So, and he tells Boruto, like, just go to sleep forever. And then Boruto gets dripped as Sasuke comes flying in, grabs him by the collar, and just yoinks him away from everyone. And he's like, I gotta get you out of the village. And, of course, the kids are like, why the fuck did Sasuke just grab Boruto like that? What's going on? And Sasuke says, like, I first met him when I happened to stop by Naruto's house for a visit. That day, he asked me to take him on as a student, and he mastered Rasengan immediately. And he fought Momoshiki with me and Naruto, and we won. That is who Kawaki is. He's Naruto's son, according to my mind. Anyway, that's a great part to cut away from. And so, the flow of conversation. What's that? Anyway, Kawaki parts ways with Ada, who starts flying, which is also one of her powers. And she's like, "I gotta go do something." She goes off with David.
I know, at this point, we exist in a place in Naruto where a character just being able to fly shouldn't be that surprising of her. But I do think that's a sound effect that should go along.
I have to go now. Another scene needs me. So she flies by the power of narrative convenience. So Sasuke has just found every fight scene in Boruto and is like, all right, we'll have a conversation here. All right, let's face it.
Yeah, Cell and Goku just got done fighting, so Sasuke and Boruto could have this scene.
So yeah, they're just it's some rocky hills somewhere, and Sasuke's like, they won't find us here. The Sentry unit's really bad at their job.
They suck so much. It might be months before they find us.
But he does understand, look, Ada can find us basically wherever we go, so we'll rest for a little bit and then we'll go. Boruto is clutching his eye, which again has been grievously wounded this whole time, and he's just gonna be going, ow, my eye.
Thanks for saving me. Ow.
And so he looks at Sasuke and is like, I thought you thought that I was an enemy of Konoha, so why are you helping me? And Sasuke points out something that is the only logical thinking that anyone's done in this entire situation, which is, you've got the headband that I gave to Kawaki when we bonded, but you have it for some reason. But on top of that, I can sense Otsutsuki Momoshiki, who should be inside Kawaki, inside of Boruto. He just kind of realized what I know should be the case is clearly not the case based on a few clues that could not be switched based off of this reality swapping thing. And he's the only one who manages to put any of that together. So yeah, he just points out I didn't ever really understand how unreliable my own memories could be, and I don't really know what to believe anymore. So instead, I've decided that even if I doubt myself, I'm going to believe in my daughter Sarada. So, what a good fucking dad. It's nice. And he says, yeah, so I'm just going to help you because my daughter wants me to help you. So Momoshiki's like, this guy's crazy! Kill your friends, Boruto! Yeah, so he literally just goes into Boruto's ear and it's like, oh, I mean, you still suck. Nobody likes you. No one's ever gonna ask you to dance at the school dances that you go to. You're just gonna hang out with all the loser kids, except all the loser kids are gonna think you smell. They don't.
I love this scene. He just starts being a middle school bully, and Boruto's like, fuck off. And then it cuts to him and he's like, the steel trap on this kid, you can't break through. He's like, hey, Boruto, you're a chicken. Boruto's like, I'm not a chicken, you're a turkey. And he's like, fuck. He's unbeatable. I've never seen someone so mentally sound.
Just let me take your body, you fucking asshole. Fuck you. And Boruto's like, oh my god, shut the fuck up.
What if I called you a little fatty fat? And Boruto's just like, no. He's like, damn it. Imprison this boy's mind.
So Ada's shoes show up to say, oh yeah, we're practical, and then Ada shows up after them. And she says, hey, I'm sorry about this, Boruto. And so I was like, what the fuck are Ada and Damon doing here? And Ada says to Boruto, do you understand what's happened to you? And Boruto says, yeah, Quack and I switched places, apparently. And she says, look, I honestly just wanted to help Kawaki out of his situation. I did not do this specifically on purpose. And something similar has happened in the past. By the time I realized it, everyone had become my captive. So essentially the implication is that she just probably wanted really badly for people to love her, and now everyone loves her.
Mhm.
Which, honestly, if that had been given a little bit more attention, would be really interesting and tragic, it feels like. But because of everything involved in this series, it's just like, I don't know, that's an interesting idea. You didn't execute it well. So so Boruto realized, like, so this is what Kawaki wanted, which is a big bummer, because, like, oh, my best friend wanted just, like, for me to be, you know, killable and to change places with me. That's cool. So he was like, I mean, you're acting bizarrely calm about all this. And Boruto's like, oh no, my world is shattered. But even more so, I can't stop thinking about him, my bro Kawaki, and how he must have felt just this lonely and insecure. But he's been living with it all his life since he was a kid. He's the polar opposite of me. I thought I knew him, but I guess it was pissing him off that even though I knew hardship, I was acting like I understood. Never knew hardship, I said I understood. How's your eye doing, Boruto? How's your parents
fine.
being imprisoned away and everyone wanting to kill you? So, yeah, you know, I'm feeling really, really, you know, like, reflective right now. As a 12-year-old in this situation.
At this point, I assume the eye's just healed. It's just, he's like, I got a cool scar. I got what I came for.
God. So, yeah, Sasuke says, look, you know, Naruto was honestly a lot like you currently are, Boruto. He was shunned by everyone, and yet he somehow managed to get into this position that he is now. He just pushed himself. He proved himself. So if you truly are his son the way you claim, then show us, just as he did. Which is a little bit weird for a full adult to be saying to a 12-year-old. But I guess in a shonen sense, like, it's kind of cool, but...
Nah.
So...
Pick your shit together, son.
Yeah. Momoshiki is like...
Momoshiki is really, like, I never found it particularly intimidating, but he's really dropped off in this chapter to like a Devimon level. Like, no, come on, betray your friends and kill your family. Oh,
I mean, we're fully like turning Momoshiki into Kurama 2.0 now, aren't we? Like, he's
Pretty
just
much
the evil being who dwells inside Boruto, who's going to give him superpowers and is going to claim that he hates Boruto, wants to take him over, but is probably not going to do anything because he's so easily dealt with in situations like this.
I'm looking forward to a couple years from now when Momoshiki's like, Boruto, watch out! He's got the power of nuclear fusion.
So Boruto's got a cool speech prepared. Honestly, this is the least weird part of all this. Every 12-year-old has a cool speech prepared. Like, they all wish that they could deliver this cool, badass speech when they're a ninja and stuff. Because he says, oh, I've got flowing inside me the blood of my dad, the 7th Hokage, Uzumaki Naruto. And my mom's Hyuga blood, too. She doesn't get a cool intro. Just my mom's.
I've got my dad's blood. And Mom, I guess, there, too, somewhere.
And my granddad was the 4th Hokage. I don't know anything about my grandma. Sometimes I've heard she was cool, but I don't know anything about her. And also, I'm a Konoha Will of Fire ninja. And he straps on Sasuke's old headband. And, it's got a scratch on it and stuff. Ooh.
Yeah, we saw the scratch when he got slashed in the face.
Yep. And he also says, like, look, I understand that I'm the one who drove Kawaki into this corner. Not really. You had a tiny role in that. But he's like, look, he tried to resolve this situation, even though it would risk my dad hating him, and the result of it was him, trying to kill his brother. And it's all due to my own weakness. No, it's not. I've got a cool speech. I can't let this end as brother killing brother. I gotta get a lot stronger and turn this into a mere quarrel between siblings. That's what my dad would do. And Ada says, are you sure you're 12, Boruto? Which is, I feel like just a very good thing that is like, I'm just going to save that for a couple bits later down the line. And Ada says, like, look, this isn't going to make up fully for what happened, but how about this? Until you return to Konoha, I promise I won't look for either of you, no matter what Shikamaru or Kawaki say to me. Because Kawaki's honestly not coming off as very cool right now, and it's my fault, and that sucks. So that's what I'm going to do for this. So hey, we wrapped up that little like, why don't they just use Ada's power to look for Boruto? She has a reason to not do so. Cool. Boruto turns to Sasuke, or Ada, I guess, and says, "Hey, let Sarada know my thanks for sending me Uncle Sasuke. Yeah, Sarada, you got to do something this series, right? This counts as you doing something, right?" He also vows that he's going to come. He's definitely going to come back. And then Damon says, "Hey, get a lot stronger so I can fight you."
Yeah, like cool. I'm glad this character is still here.
Thanks for being here. And he also thanks Sasuke, and Sasuke is just like, "Hey, look, I honestly don't have any faith in you, except for the parts where I kind of indicate I might. I'm doing this for my daughter." And Sarada has met up with Sumire, and they're doing nothing. She just kind of like wishes
they're looking off into the distance. Yeah,
pretty much. Also, Code is still in this series, and he is fully switched hating Kawaki to hating Boruto, which is
it's kind of funny.
Honestly, it is. Kawaki's like, "I'm still gonna kill you, Boruto, because you still got Tsutsuki inside you." And Boruto's like, "I'm feeling pretty good about my situation."
Yeah, this is where the musical montage is playing, and it ends on a high note with Boruto being like, "Let's go.
Don't you forget about me."
I'm like, they're not dying. Why are we playing that song? I was thinking to myself, like Steve Earle, like, like The Wire end of the season. Here's where the characters are gonna be going. Songs, not the fucking Breakfast Club. Boruto, boom.
God, all right. Well, this is the situation that we're in, and it only took a very weird turn for us to get here. And so here we are, and that's where we'll be coming back to in a few months, because Boruto is off until August. So,
look, I will quite freely admit I am not a huge fan of Boruto. I think this is probably one of the better chapters of Boruto. There was like a lot of points where I was like, this is actually kind of cool. I said I'd like Sasuke getting to like be a good dad and like showing intelligence of being able to like figure out a couple things. I do like Ada actually kind of admitting like, yeah, I think I kind of fucked up here. So like,
yeah.
the goodwill gesture is actually kind of nice. I actually like Boruto's little speech of him just being like, I guess I didn't really understand what it was like being Kawaki until like this turn came around and like literally everyone doesn't trust me and is trying to kill me. Like it was something where I'm like, I get why he feels like he is now in this new revelation of just like shit. I guess I just actually didn't really understand what Kawaki's life was like. And there were just cool little moments here and there. Some stuff I wish was like executed a little bit better, but like as far as Boruto goes, this was like, I don't want to say A tier, but if you're grading the curve,
when you're used to reading just consistent like 2 out of 10s week after week, a 6 out of 10 starts to look pretty damn
like,
good.
Shit, is this my chapter of the week? I don't believe it is, but there's a moment of like, is this?
Yeah, I'm mostly there with you. Mostly of what I dislike about this chapter comes down to just structural problems that seem to be built into Boruto at this point. As a standalone chapter, I think this is fine. And I'm right there with you in terms of like, oh, hey, Ada's actually a little bit more interesting as a character now that there's like this other side to her, at least. But I wish that certain things had not gone the way that they did, even just within this chapter. And I guess we'll see what new adventures await Boruto starting in 4 months' time. So
yeah, it'd be kind of nice. Like, I wonder if like when August rolls around, August 20th, like if I'm gonna be in the mood, like, finally, Boruto's back. Like, you know, an absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of situation. I'm like, ooh, Boruto. I'm so excited. And I read, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This was bad.
God damn it.
I can't
It'll
wait.
be okay.
I can't wait for this time skip to explain how Kawaki gets his cool little scarf. So we can finally, every piece is in place for that opening chapter.
Yeah, just the chapter opens up. He walks into a department store. He's like, that's a cool looking scarf.
And then immediately walks out of the department store into that scene from the beginning.
Didn't have any special meaning to it. He just bought it that day.
He was on the way. He's like, my neck's kind of cold. not my arms or anything else. Just my neck.
No. This sleeveless jacket is still a great idea.
Yeah. My arms are gonna get hot once I start working out, but my neck will never get warm.
Necks don't get warm. That's crazy.
All right, let's talk about. We have so many manga to talk about still. Let's talk about Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man. It's 128 main dish. Last time, Denji said that the main thing that was keeping him going through all the horrors of life was wanting to have sex with a woman. And Asa thinks that's really gross, and he's just like, nope, I changed my mind. Forget it. Go to hell. Nope, I'm going. And then she gets like offended on sex's behalf because like sex is beautiful. Humanity grew to the size it is because sex just feels so good. We're both here because of the power of sex, which is like, all right, that's kind of in its own way kind of beautiful, yes. But Asa straight in with the I'm asexual ? Iteration, which is people only have sex because they have nothing better to do. Having somebody else's saliva and sweat all mixing together with yours is super gross. It's like, fair enough. All right. So Denji's like, there's nothing better than having somebody else's saliva and sweat mixing with yours. Denji, you are doing a lot better with the humanity grew to the size it is because it feels good at that point. But Asa pauses a beat and then she says, what makes you think you'd ever get me? And Denji's like, well, I mean, you know, when I'm older, eventually I'll get a girlfriend. She's like, you've got a chainsaw for a head. Nobody would ever want to have sex with you. And she goes, no!
He starts flying up.
Was the thing that made Denji despair, knowing that all of his friends had died horribly and he was never going to get to know anyone beyond Nayuta? Nope, never gonna have sex. Ah! So... And nothing stops at this time. They just float up through one of the doors in the sky, and they're just there. And they awaken. Well, Denji awakens in a void on a dish that is had food (parentheses blood) placed on it in a very high-end manner, as in Jesus Christ. That plate is like it's got to be like a foot in diameter, but there's like 1 square inch of actual food on that thing. Mm-hmm. But you know, like human size. So Asa's unconscious.
I love that we can see the apples that she just threw in there as well. In that dude's head. Also
some guts, which might be just like for when she was tangoing with Denji earlier.
Yeah, she might have just been like, you know what? Let's use it. Could use a garnish.
Yeah. So Denji looks around. He spots a door in the void and just picks up Asa. Like, all right, just starts running for it. But of course, I mean, it can't be that easy, right? This stinger lashes out at him from the darkness. His guts start spilling out. A monster that at the very least looks similar to the one we saw being fed by the Falling Devil before appears and just fully rips his head off. And Denji, in a great moment, just reaches out, grabs his head by the handle on the chainsaw, and just sticks it back on, revs himself up, and heads for the door, which opens as he approaches it, and the Falling Devil's on the other side. Oh, well. It was worth a shot.
Yeah.
And Falling Devil just says, like, my main dish doesn't call for Chainsaw Man. If you leave Asamitaka, I'll send you back. And Denji stops. He looks right at Asa's butt and then says, "Can I at least bring her ass back with me?" Which, I mean, all right, Denji, that's not your best moment.
In my mind, I'm like, I assume he's not like 100% serious, but I do like this moment where he's just like, I mean, not for nothing. If the whole thing's gonna go to waste, sure, but like, if we can keep a little bit.
God. So the Falling Devil calls him a pervert, which, yep, accurate. And then she gets decapitated and speared through the back with a chainsaw. She seems to be not too put off by this because she says, "Oh dear, this keeps happening to me today." But then her head gets cut in half by a slash of a chainsaw too. And Asa starts to wake up. And through the door, a voice says the Falling Devil has no tolerance for diners who leave their food unfinished. They'll desperately try to devour Asamitaka lest they be killed by the Falling Devil. Please evade them until sunrise, Chainsaw Man. And the fake Chainsaw Man has appeared, has the Falling Devil's body just fully up on their head chainsaw, while casually saying all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, we don't get a good look at them at all in the slightest in terms of who they could possibly be.
Yeah, it's very unclear, but it's very intriguing. Like, now we kind of have a bit more of a confirmation of, like, there does seem to be some other chainsaw person, and they are looking out for Asa in some way. I don't know. It seems very interesting.
Yep.
I'm super intrigued. It's a cool little end. Fun little chapter. Very goofy. Good stuff.
Yep. One would have to assume that this person has to at least be linked to the person who woke up Denji so that he could go after Asa. So yeah, I agree with you. It seems that they have at least some reason to keep Asa alive, not just Chainsaw Man. So, but we'll see where that goes. I'm sure eventually. It looks like we're at least in the second half of this whole thing, I would say at this point. But to move on, in Akane-banashi, story 59, A Difficult Choice. Maikeru has just told Akane that there are 3 different Rakugos that he can teach her, and they all have different reasons that she would want to learn them. One's just a very big crowd pleaser, one is one that matches her nin, and one is a Rakugo that Maikeru learned from her father. It's the one that got him his promotion. And she immediately chooses Changing Time, the one that her dad was known for. So, for now, Nick is right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I thought it might go a different direction, but the way they explain it actually made me think, like, okay, yes, this is probably the right choice.
I feel as though I might not be right for the entire time, but we'll see. So Maikeru's like, okay, yeah, let's get started. And he tells her, like, to get ready, put her Yutaka on so that she's ready to perform and stuff. And Kane's like, look, I want to win the selection round and be in the 4-person event, and I want to catch up to Kaisei. But what I really want is to show off where my roots came from. And of course, those roots were from kind of like spying on her dad as a little kid. And she thinks to herself, look, there are things more important than just going for the easy win. But that's not the same thing as giving up. I'm going to win, and I'm going to do it my way. It'll be fine. This is the right choice. And it's that comment right there that makes me think, maybe it's the wrong choice. So Maikeru starts setting up so that he can demonstrate the story for Akane. He says, get a device ready to record if you want to. But while she's getting that set, he says, you made a decisive choice. I was just thinking that, like, I felt like I gave you, a really difficult choice to make. You made it, like, instantly. I didn't expect you to do that so quickly, so I'm impressed. There's no absolutes on stage. Trends, compatibility, odds, strategy, no matter what the outsiders say, you are the only one who can make your choice the right one. So there's no need for doubt now. Once you've chosen your path, the only thing left is to run down it as hard as you can. Which is, just in general, a really cool line. So he gets set, and we are given like a brief overview of Changing Time, how it's about a guy who gets home late drinking, and when he gets home, he just drinks some more while he's home, and his wife is kind of just done with him. But it's a lighthearted story, and there's a lot of banter between them. So we also get a breakdown from Maikeru where he uses his whole nin thing to explain, like, oh, here are the attributes of this story, and this is kind of what it's like if it's performed by an expert. The veterans performed this one at a live show, and that's because the key to the story is the heir of a married couple who have been together for years, and being able to evoke that relationship takes it to a different level. And he's making some great faces while he's acting as the drunk husband, and it's really nice. And so, there's just a nice little line where it's like, you say like I'm stubborn because I'm a man, so you tell me to stop drinking, I'm gonna want to drink more. If you offer me a drink, I'll stop drinking. Oh, really? Do you want another drink? Do man you? So it's stuff like that. But as Akane is watching it, she gets a feeling, and she realizes, like, the way that he's inflecting his words, the pauses, his gestures, his faces, they all overlap. They match what I copied so many times. And as she's watching Maikeru, like, a ghost of her father performing the Rakugo appears beside him. And that's where we just kind of cut off that little training session. Maikeru has got stuff that he's got to get up to. So he's like, okay, once you think that you've got it, then drop me a line, and we'll review then. So Akane realizes, like, when Maikeru told her, like, I'm going to teach it to you just as my Aniki taught me, she says, wow, yeah, he couldn't have recreated to such a degree ever only one lesson. So he must have really been close with my dad. What kind of relationship did they have? And Maikeru goes off to get a haircut from Akane's mom.
This was like a wild little like not twist, but like just turn of the chapter where you're like, huh.
Yeah. And she asks like how Akane's doing, and he says like, oh, I was probably worried over nothing, I think. I suppose that part of her she got from you rather than Aniki. And he's apparently really close, not just with Shinta, but with Akane's mother too. He calls her Anego, like, big sis. And he says like, oh, and we had dinner as a group the other day, and I was amazed when she chose somen noodles with onigiri. And her mom's just like, she needs to eat some vegetables. And then he shows her his phone, and he says like, hey, check this out. And there's a picture of him babysitting Akane when she was like 3 years old, and he had dyed while he was like dyeing his hair blonde and stuff. And she says like, what, you babysat for? Is that? Yeah, it was literally once because Aniki begged me to do it because you guys wanted to go out for dinner for her anniversary. And now I'm teaching that little kid Rakugo. It's kind of crazy.
It's a very sweet, like, full circle kind of moment of just like, wow, look at her. I just did that once, and now I'm teaching her dad's Rakugo. It's like a very powerful little moment.
Yeah. They chat about like, oh, as a Futatsume, are you allowed to teach her? And he's like, yeah, it's fine if the master approves and stuff. And I learned from Aniki too. And she says, oh, so Toru looked after you? And he says, yeah, I'd say so. He taught me everything, from how to greet my seniors to how to drink. Honestly, he's the one who taught me how to be a human being, and I can never fully repay a debt like that. But being overprotective is the enemy of growth. I've done all I can for Akane at this point in time. The only question is, how will she make changing time her own?
Changing time. Da, 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 to the places where we need to get changed. Changing time.
Like a department store or just honestly a bathroom.
So get all your time skip scarves and etc.
Yeah, I really like this chapter. I love the little detail about Maikeru, and I like the context of like, oh, this is how old he is too. Because it was kind of hard to peg that before, but it's like, oh, okay, if he was like fully an adult while babysitting Akane when she was 3, then he's got to at least be in his younger 30s at this point. Which does make the comment about "don't fall in love with me" even weirder. So,
I mean, I don't know if I find it weird because it seems like he is intentionally trying to not let her know that he has any real connection to their like her or anything like that. So in a way, I almost see that as a way of like pushing forward the idea that like, yeah, I'm not giving you any special treatment because I definitely don't know you from before this and had like a good relationship with your family or anything like that. Um, yeah, it's a lot of little fun details here. I like this character as sort of like, this concerned mentor figure who's
yeah,
like, I want Akane to do well, but I can't baby her. She needs to discover these things for herself. But I think she's got something going. I just, we need to see if she can figure out that final piece or whatever. Yeah, it's good stuff, I think.
it is interesting that the real sense of how experienced, knowledgeable, and wise Maikeru actually is doesn't come in a conversation with any of the many Rakugoka characters, including his fellow apprentices. It comes from him talking to an outsider to it, so that he can speak like more frankly about what he's doing and what he's trying to do and not do. But it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about that blue box, Nick.
Blue box. It's chapter 98. Well, Chinatsu's team lost. Sorry about that. Chapter 98, the end of the year. Yeah, the team got to only the third round of the tournament. The team that beat them went on to win the tournament. But there's an optimistic note to it. The players that are on the team feel like they still managed to accomplish something. And meanwhile, Taiki is reflecting on the whole thing, being like, I never got a chance to ask her what the hell was up with that hug before. Now it's the end of the year. And so it is getting to be, New Year time. Chinatsu's parents are going to be in town as they're visiting Japan. And so she's going to be going to meet up with them that day. They're going to go at like 6 p.m. And so they're like, okay, yeah. And then I'm going to be going over to stay at my grandfather's place until early January. Wonder what that timeline's so important for. Oh, well. Taiki comes downstairs. He, meets eyes with Chinatsu. Immediately thinks about the hug and is like, I'm going to go wash my hair. Runs out of the room. And so Chinatsu is clearly thinking about it, but, her expression is back to kind of unreadable mode. Since this is a Taiki perspective chapter. And so Taiki's like, how the hell am I supposed to talk to her when we're in the house? My mom's here. How the hell am I supposed to approach her and talk about it that way? It's winter cleaning time for the club, so everyone in badminton is working to clean up messes and stuff. Taiki looks over at Chinatsu while she's also working with her team, and she's just kind of acting as usual. And Taiki's like, could I have been dreaming? Did I just hallucinate the hug?
Oh God.
He looks at the Christmas tree and it's like, can't we just leave the tree up all year round? It's like, all right, calm down.
Do you know anybody like that? Anybody who's like, I want to keep this up for a really long time? I have neighbors who still have their Christmas decorations out. We're in April, by the way. Like, at this point, just keep it up the rest of the year.
Might as well. Just be lazy. Yeah. Ayame has gone into drill sergeant mode and is just ordering everyone. I was like, don't clean that way, clean this way, and all of that. And everyone's like, oh, I thought that she was gonna be a cute manager, but she's as bad as my mom. All right, guys. Yeah, sure. Yeah, everyone likes having the girl around to help out until she tells you what to do. Fuck you. So, and all she gestures to Taiki is like, you're just standing around. Go do something. Go double check the equipment if you're done with all your work. So he does head off to the equipment room and is like, this is where we were on Christmas Eve. Hey. Chinatsu's in there. Also, a bunch of other people are in there, but Chinatsu's in there. And he's all like awkward and can't really like meet her eyes. And again, just things like Chinatsu's just the same as ever. It's like she never hugged me. And then he has to kind of scoot out of the way because someone is moving a cart, and he bumps shoulders with her into the mirror like, oh, I'm sorry. Can't handle it. Nagisa heads off, leaving Chinatsu and Taiki a bit alone. And Chinatsu's like, hey, Taiki, is it possible that I offended you? And Taiki looks at her like, what? And he starts to say, does nothing, because he's just thinking it.
He's like, thinking, I could, and then is stupid. I hate this guy. This guy sucks. He's a fucking cock block.
Juice! So, Nishida just comes in and is like, they got juice! Leaves.
This motherfucker.
And Taiki's like, I can't say anything. I have no idea how to process emotions and have conversations with people. And then Hina sees Taiki looking at Chinatsu, and she gets upset in a way. Ayame sees Hina being upset at Taiki, and she gets upset, but then she sees Kyo pass by Hina and be like, hey, Chono, can you help me carry these to the staff room? Because they're kind of heavy. So I believe the implication is trying to distract her. And so she's like, oh yeah, God, you're weak, Kyo. And so they walk off carrying stuff together. And Ayame notices this happen and gets kind of a look in her eyes. So a development has happened. Ayame will remember that. The cleanup is over, and Nishida's like, guys, let's go eat at a restaurant. And Taiki's like, no, I need to go do something. I have to talk to Shinatsu. I gotta tell her I wasn't offended. I gotta tell her that being hugged by her made me happy. It's the first time I've ever been hugged by the person I like. Fair enough. There's a nice moment where he's thinking about this, but he still stops to help this elderly person who dropped something. He's just, oh, here you go. He's a good boy. And he thinks like, I mean, I could like, I guess, call her, but I've got to say this, to her face. I've got to do it. So he runs all the way home, gets there at about 5:45, and his mom is hanging out with his granddad. And then he says, where's Chinatsu Senpai? Oh, she left. Her parents' flight arrived early, so your dad took her to meet them. Taiki's like, ah! So that's it.
It's worth noting that, like, chapter numbers are generally pretty arbitrary. Like, we place a lot of importance on them as readers, but, like, it's not always intentional that, like, you got to do something huge for chapter 100 or whatever. That said, it does feel like we might be moving towards chapter 100 run through the airport to say goodbye. Or I guess not through the airport because they're picking someone up at the airport.
They're picking their...
They might still run to see her at the airport. I'm just saying it would be romantic. We don't get to see it anymore because in America you just can't do that anymore. So all the media we get over here is just like airports are dead. You can't do it. You can't involve airports anymore.
Yeah, the big dramatic run through the airport so he can tell the girl he loves, no, I didn't dislike it when you hugged me.
In front of her parents or grandparents.
In front of thousands of strangers. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
Oh, Nick, let's talk about morgues. Morgue.
It's chapter 21 of Cipher Academy. Thousands die in order to make a successful code.
With the cover page of a bunch of children. Like, what the fuck?
It's honestly a very cute picture.
It is. It's
but
very cute. I also like
that,
how Toshusai's gang, they're still so extra, they're fucking back to back, like they're fucking Charlie's Angels. Like, Toshusai is, like, slightly restrained. Like, it's that these two are just like, nah, forever. Fucking team rocketing this shit.
I also do like that we do get this, like, kind of gesture of, like, hey, look, Iroha has actually made friends. Isn't that nice? He's posing with a few of them.
Yeah.
It's... So, first off, the chapter's 10 out of 10 because of that title.
So there's nowhere to go but up from there, then.
Last time, we closed the chapter with Iroha being down by a count of 40 to 5 chips and doing ice-cold reading LASIK version as a table of all the cards emerged in a visual. And we open this chapter with anonymity requested going, what the fuck just happened? Why are we tied?
She's in a medicine. She's like, did the double chapter or double issue happen already and I missed something? How the fuck am I so far behind?
She literally says, up until last week's issue, I was beating him 40 to 5, but now we're tied. What happened? Did we skip a chapter?
It's so weird. I feel like that's the energy of this series. Is it's so unhinged that I never called that Anonymity-san would be like suddenly a meta character who's like, she's like fucking Deadpool. She's like, did we skip a chapter? How are we tied now?
Well, look, Quinn, we've got to give her a new gimmick because she loses her other one in this chapter. So she says, like, these are what all the cards are. I know all of them now at this point. And we aren't given an explanation for why they mean anything yet. And we're also told that the difficulty level for this whole thing is 2 stars, which I don't know if that's because that's the average difficulty. I think that's the justification that's given later. So she knows what all the cards are. And she thinks, like, look, the difficulty of each individual code is low. You can observe a pattern in them if you organize them together. And now that we're past round 35, I guess that he's probably solved every card. But even if that's the case, he can't see his own hand. So now that it's straight up heads up poker, he's got to just read my face to figure out what he's got. And my glasses weapon prevents me from doing that. So I know what cards that he has, and then Iroha says, "You're wondering how I know what my cards are. How I know what my cards are, aren't you? It's true. I can't read your expression, no matter what. So instead, I just read everyone else's expression that's watching us play poker." Which is honestly like, all right, that's pretty cool. That's the way of dealing with that. And he says the reason I was able to figure it out is because one of the cards that Toshusai used jogged an old memory, because there was one that's got all these characters on it that's like taxi, GQ, bus, fly, and if you write it out in English, then basically every letter of the alphabet is used except for J, O, K, E, and R. Mm-hmm. And he also says the handwriting jogged my memory because it made me relive my trauma and helped me realize that Taiyo Yugata was the one who must have come up with the code, because it was a lipogram, like the game that we played before. And when I thought about that, each of the cards that I saw started to jog different memories in different ways. And it turns out that all of the cards, each of the numerical values, were codes that are written by one of their classmates. So, you know, Oboro was the one who did all of the 2s. I forget her name, Rokuro, I think it is. Toshusai's other companion is the one who gave with the 3s, and so on. And so he says that everyone knows the codes, of course, that they came up with. So I would just read their expressions to figure them out. And I matched them based on the order of the seats in the class order to determine which numerical values were which. This is something that you can only do if you can match up everyone's names with their faces and the seating order. Do you know that? Because, you know, she's the lone wolf type character. Like, did you, as part of your prep to do this, even memorize all that? So, Anonymity Requested is like, I'm all in, and seems to be panicking. But Anonymity Requested is just like, no, I just want him to think that I'm panicking. Because of my glasses weapon, acting this way is the only way to make it seem that I'm bluffing and panicking. Now that my cards have been leaked, I need to finish this fast because he's just getting more and more accurate as the game goes on. So I need to finish him now. I can't let him prolong the game. So he's like, look, why don't we just, end this? But Iroha turns to the dealer and says, hey, I'd like to switch cards. And he looks at Nico Ueda and says, like, yeah, you said it would be fine to do it once as long as the player's willing to go all in, right? And she says, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's basically just like, I didn't say everyone couldn't do it once, I guess. Sure.
And immediately Anonymity Requested is like,
lunch started 2 hours, ended 2 hours ago for me. So who gives a shit at this point, I guess?
Yeah. So Anonymity Requested is immediately like, oh shit, this is bad. He tricked me. But Iroha says, I'll tell you what. If you just take off your glasses weapon now, I'll only read your expression for the remainder of the battle. I won't read anyone else's that's watching us. And he says, like, look, I know that, you've been really impressive in this game. You're planning to get rid of Toshisa and USI Mura. So, I don't feel like you actually cheated. I actually respect the strategy you came up with. And I think the only thing I consider to be cheating is the poker face that you currently have. So, an Anonymity Request is like, all right, so that's the path you've chosen. And that's allowed you to survive this far. But Iroha Hazaka, just you watch, I can fight fair too when I want. It's so shonen. So she removes the glasses weapon.
Nick, wait! Anonymity-san is a girl?
Yes, this is a shock to all of us.
Wow, okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
She's got very big, expressive eyes, as it turns out.
She's very moe and, like, very fucking anime girl. Like, let's do it.
She talks with her hands a lot, so the glasses weapon, I guess, made her gesture less when she was talking to. So Hero's like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna switch 3 cards and I'm gonna go all in. So it's all in versus all in. Everything comes down to this in a big showdown. And Kagoe stops watching the poker match. And her, VR assistant is like, oh wow, yeah, I mean, the video cut out again, and she's like, it's fine. I got enough data.
I think
and,
it's because
I don't really care.
Anonymity took off the glasses. There's no feed for her to watch anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Kagoe is like, I don't really care how the match turns out because Yosamura was the only one whose values differed from mine, so I don't have any force in this fight. Either Urohazaka will win or an Anonymity Requested will win. And she also says, and thanks to Uroha overdoing it, I was able to make up with Kyora-san, which allowed us to finally put out the brand new weapon into mass production.
I love this. Is like the villain reveal of like a whole army of evil glasses.
And she says, and I quote, now we'll be able to invite the Cipher soldiers from Class 1A into the first Cyber Brain World War. Yeah. Okay.
And then finishes with, I wish I could say this one loudly. Like, oh my god.
Are you whispering to your VR assistant? What's going on?
I guess she just wanted to shout it to the entire class as opposed to just her robot assistant. But her robot butler. This is such a wild and weird chapter. It's very funny.
it is legitimately very charming that Oroha's like victory path went through the like method of just actually knowing his classmates, and not like in
Yeah.
a dishonest way or anything like that. It's just like, actually, I think this is something you probably would have picked up on if you hadn't decided to be such a cunt this entire like sequence of chapters on an Infinity Song.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's like it's only something you can know if you had actually gotten to know everyone in the class, and the entire time you just be like, "I'll cheat, fuck all of you," and it's like, yeah, it's poetic. This has been a very Yu-Gi-Oh ass sequence, and I love it.
Yeah.
And now we're going to start a cyber brain war, whatever the fuck that means. I'll take it.
Yeah, I love that we could just end this series or end this chapter with a shot of a shit ton of glasses, and it's kind of like a poppy moment, like, oh no, Nick, there's so many glasses now.
Okay, let's move on to Kill Blue, Chapter 2, The Wisdom of Others. Ogawa has continued to go to class and all that stuff, and popular girls are kind of talking to him a little bit, but he's still all gloomy and stuff, and they just flat say like, you really do just like look creepy. And you should also talk more in the group chat. And he's like, I hate dealing with kids. Not Ogawa, Ogami. Whatever. So...
Nick, come on. We could be talking about this series for years to come. We should show enthusiasm.
So Ogami is like, all right, well, time for learning. I love learning and being in class now. And the teacher starts to explain this algebra problem. And Ogami starts going, what? And when he goes home that night, he's just drained, trying to figure out how to do this homework. And he's like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And so his partner says, like, oh, that's why you were acting all weird during class earlier. So he's like, do you know this stuff? Nope. I also went through the Academy of Raising Hitmen, which means I learned no math. You don't need math in order to shoot a sniper rifle. Shut up.
You don't, Nick. Come on. Just point, boom. It's simple.
Point.
I can do it on my phone, Nick. If they make a game, I can do it on my phone. It can't be that hard.
Yeah, and the way the butt cheeks jiggle just lets you know that you've done a good job.
I wasn't talking about that game. Thank you very much. But you are correct. That is another game where you can just tap a button. I don't know what the fuck you actually do. In my mind, the way that game is played is you enter into a battle and then you just sit back and you place your hands. I don't know where you place your hands, but you place your hands away from the thing and you just watch. You're just like, I should now enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Yeah, good headshot, Makima.
Only if she has her coat removed.
She just can't hit anyone if she's wearing the coat.
It's not a sexual thing. This is just a tactical sniper thing. Like, how would you ever hit someone with a big, suffocating coat on as well,
So, Ogami calls up his ex-wife, asking her to tutor him. And he's like, look, you got to teach me. And she says, look, I have a job and also I do housework and stuff. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I've got to be able to, don't you want me to focus on trying to restore you to normal? And he's like, look, isn't there some way? And she says, like, look, I'm sure this guy isn't actually that stupid. And she says, look, talk to your teacher. That's the point of school. And he's like, I'm in my late 30s. Can you imagine how embarrassing that would be? Okay. So he goes to the library and is struggling in class and stuff. And he's like, oh no, what if I fall behind everyone and stuff? What do I do? And while he's studying in the library, one of his classmates comes up and is like, oh, hey, you studying? And he's like, oh, you're Shiraishi, right? So Shiraishi sits down and he just kind of like just tells him what's going on, and Shiraishi's like, oh yeah, you must have like struggled with your lessons last year too. It seems like there are some concepts from elementary school that didn't like stick with you. I know that this could be confusing, once you start adding in all this variables, X and Y stuff. So, I come to the library to study all the time, so we could study together. And a montage happens, and Ogami takes a math quiz, and he gets a perfect score because he gets Shiraishi's help. Yay! That was a story we could have told, but we didn't. So he goes to Shiraishi, he's like, "Oh my god, you're crazy good. I owe you so much." And he grabs by the shoulders. It's like, "Thank you, master. How could I? I'm in your debt." And Shiraishi's like, "All right, you're acting weird." So he says, like, "Let's go out for
I want
a
to
drink
note,
together."
Nick, I'm not like laughing in the moment from all these jokes, but just imagine I'm slapping my sides or slapping my knee. I'm holding my sides in. This is quality stuff.
So Ogami says, "Oh, well, I need to express my gratitude to you. So let's go. Let me buy you a drink." He's like, why are you talking like an old man?" "Because he is an old man." So
I want that stinger to play when I'm reading this series. Like
all the time.
anytime I read one of these jokes, it just plays. It's because he is an old man. So dismissive in me, but it really does just nail down how far this joke really is in terms of like limit.
So Ogami's like, "Look, you're like great at tutoring. You're a hard worker. And maybe you're just a diligent guy, but it feels like you must like have something you really want to do with your life." And Shiraishi's like, "Okay, well, like, don't tell anyone else in class, but I really want to be a doctor when I grow up." And Ogami's like, "Why don't you want people to know that? That's great." And Shiraishi's like, "It's kind of embarrassing." And he tells this little story of like, my mom got sick and died when I was little, and while my dad was away at work, my grandma would take care of me. And he's like, no. Look, I'm not trying to tell you my sob story or anything. I was sad when my mom died, but my dad would always play. My dad was great. My grandma was great, but my grandma's not doing so well right now. And then it hit me one day that I might be able to help people like her live longer lives and help people like my mother recover from their illnesses if I became a doctor. And that's it. That's what I want to do. It's like, oh, all right. That's a nice, simple, the similar thing. Ogami's like, "Oh, you're so great." Yep. So, Ogami is very moved by this. And then a Twitter blue user appears.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe this motherfucker.
It's just like, "Hey, you 11-year-olds.
Being a doctor? Hold on. Let me step away from my conversation to interrupt yours.
You're not sitting with anyone. Let me step away from my conversation to interrupt yours." He just goes on about how being a doctor sucks. And he's like, "Yeah, doctors don't make very much. They're not respected very much. And consider how our country's aging population and low birth rate. Look at this graph that I brought up on my cool spiffy laptop that I bought with my money doing a stupid job that nobody likes." And Ogami's like, "God, I hate you. I'm gonna punch you in the face." And Trish's like, "Don't do that, no." And then the guy turns his attention to Ogami and is like, "If you suck at middle school classwork, you must be really dumb."
I knew these people exist, but like I wish I had an eighth of the gumption that this guy has. To hear that like a fucking like sixth grader is having trouble with math and turn around and be like, "You must be a big dumb idiot." Like, you must be so stupid.
So that's when Shiraishi finally is like starts to go up against the guy, because like, "All right, you're being mean to my friend here." And he's like, "Look, we've heard enough of you. We don't have to listen to you. Nothing you were saying has anything to do with why I want to be a doctor. And even if your arguments were sound, I don't think it's really nice for you to look down at others just because you have different views from them. You've got no idea how hard my friend's been working. And he's got way more to offer than someone like you who uses high-spec laptop to watch YouTube all day." And the guy's like, "Well, watching Steven Crowder makes me a genius, though." And then some guy...
To be clear, he does not name drop Steven Crowder.
No. Some guy at the diner just like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, some guy who's like, "I was fine with you berating one child, and I was okay with you berating the second child for a little bit, but now this has gone on too long." Like,
You would assume like 5 seconds, and the some adult would be like, "Hey, buddy, they're like 11. Chill out."
But no, it's not until Shiraishi starts winning the fight that the guy is like, all right, I'm going to back this winning horse here. Now that I feel secure that this guy's turbo laser that he fires from his YouTube watching won't fall on me.
It's just a bandwagon. It's like, oh, thank goodness that kid's in the lead now. Now I can put my support behind it. Yeah, we all think you suck.
So the jerk leaves. Ogami and Shiraishi they're walking home. And they're talking a bit more, and Shiraishi's like, "Oh, you know, I honestly just I feel like I got carried away. He was just being such a jerk, and then I just kind of lost it. We really shouldn't just pick fights like that with people because Shiraishi is just his character is just nice dude. That is him."
Well, this entire time, I was sitting here like, this is the setup for like the end of the chapter reveal that he's not actually a nice guy.
Oh yeah,
something like in my mind I was like, he wants to be a doctor for sinister reasons. He's also infected by the same thing. He, you know, his dad is like an evil scientist. Like I just kept waiting for something at this point because I was like, there's clearly you can't just make a character who's this personalityless nice. Like it's a nothing thing. So I was just waiting constantly for the other shoe to drop.
So the laptop guy from before comes rampaging towards them on a bicycle and he's like, "Oh, how dare you spit on my advice? I was trying to help you. I'll teach you respect. I'm gonna kick you off this bridge.
I'm gonna punch you too into the river." Which, like, I know we're in a manga. I'm like, just mechanically think about that.
Oh my god. So Ogami is like, I'm a super spy. I can sense him coming. He takes his math compass out of his pocket and just shurikens it into the spokes of the guy's bike, which stops it and sends the guy flying into the river. And as he goes flying by, Ogami catches his laptop and says, "You dropped this," and throws it to him. And the guy falls in the river. Whoops!
Literally, up this, I was like, Ogami's gonna be like, I'm gonna turn, I'm gonna do something to this guy. And then I was fully expecting his friend would have done something like a little bit faster. I was like, this is the moment. I was like, here's where you reveal that this kid is not all that he seems. And then at the end of it, it's just like, nah, he's just a nice guy. Taught him math. Yeah. What a guy.
The only way that you can have like there's got to be some other weirdos in Ogami's class because like the only other option really is to have a bunch of straight men and Ogami be bouncing off of all of them. And I gotta tell you guys something. The joke associated with Ogami is not that fucking funny.
Nick, but like, he looks like he's a kid. But he's actually an old man. I keep waiting for his kid to show up somewhere. I was like, oh, maybe, I should say wait. It's the second chapter. But I was like, maybe his daughter will like transfer into the class or something. Right. Like, you gotta do something with this premise.
Yeah, I mean, because we do know that she is like a presence in the story. Like she's only a very, very briefly appeared, but she did show up in that one scene. So yeah, Ogami's ex, he tells her about the whole situation, and she's like, "Oh, it sounds like you made a friend." He's like, "Not my friend. He's my master." All right. And she says, "Oh, hey, so about the wasp that reverted you into a child, we've got some new intel about it. It's not a wasp that exists in nature." What? Who could have imagined that?
Nick, you've never heard of that wasp that stings you and you turn into a child and you have to repeat middle school, but you're also a spy?
Nah, Quinn. No. I've never been to Bangladesh, so
should go. Good food.
Oh, okay.
Just watch out for the wasps. Beautiful country, great food. Watch out for the wasps.
Lots of children there for some reason.
The
country kind of never perpetually ages, stuck that way because everyone just gets stung by a wasp, he ages back into a child, has to go through school again. It's a whole thing.
So she says that they actually know the creator of the wasp. It's like, well, that's a big breakthrough, which is Mitsuoka Pharmaceuticals. And it just so happens that the daughter of Mitsuoka Pharmaceuticals president is in your class, Norin Mitsuoka. And so Ogami has someone that he's going to have to try and look out for, potentially get close to maybe get some information. Hey, a plot development. Yeah, so look, I think that the laptop guy being a random dick for no reason, it was honestly kind of funny. I don't know if it was funny in the way the series is trying to be funny. It's hard to tell.
I laughed along with it at points, and then very much laughed. Like, it's such a bizarre premise that I feel like you need a character to, like, you need the series to really emphasize the fact that, like, it is absurd that this grown-ass adult is here doing this move. Like, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. So we'll see you next time for chapter 3 of Kill. I can't even bother to remember the name.
Kill Blue. Let's talk about movies.
Yeah, Tenmaku Cinema. It's chapter 3. So we have just learned that Hibiki is going to portray Nagisa. Well, we knew that already, but they've told Hajime's fellow club members that's what we're going to do. And Hajime's still not really happy about the situation, but he's agreed to do it because he's like, look, the script that Tenmaku wrote is excellent. It would be waste not to bring it to life. But look, I'm not going to take any credit for this. I'm just a ghostwriter, essentially. I'm only doing this because you're making me do it, Tenmaku. And Tenmaku's... So he says, like, I'm just going to follow your lead. And Tenmaku says, you're the director, Hajime. I just wrote the script. Everything else is up to you. And by the way, if you take my script and make a terrible movie, I will curse you to death. So no pressure. And that's where we kick things off. There is still a conversation happening between the club members as Hajime kind of off panel begs them to help, and they're all just kind of like, yeah, sure. And Akitsu, his long-haired, most mature friend, says like, yeah, I'm not all that busy. I've got just occasional band practice, so I can help. And the other club members are just kind of like, yeah, sure. We don't even know enough to know if they've got any form of talent whatsoever. Presumably, Akitsu is going to be where they get their soundtrack from. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me. So Hajime is very, very thankful, and they're like, yeah, we got plenty of time. Also, we'll get to work with Himeki Karakui, so that's great. So then they say, like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? Because it costs money to make a movie, right? And, I guess we've got some club funds, right? And Hajime says, yeah, but there's no way it's going to be enough. They talk about, like, some low-budget movies, but even then, it's like, okay, the production cost for this one low-budget movie called Stop the Camera that we looked up, 3 million yen. So that's a lot of money for a bunch of teenagers with no jobs. But Hajime gives this big, inspiring speech like, look, the movie we're trying to shoot is only about 15 to 20 minutes long. There's plenty of locations and equipment that we already have access to for free. We can be creative with this. We can do this. We'll borrow stuff, or we'll get for cheap or for free. Everyone's like, all right, yeah, good job. Yeah, keep going. He's like, yeah, I've got to convince myself this is possible too. So it's going to be summer vacation. We're going to have time to do this. We could do this. And Akitsu turns to Himeki and says, like, oh, yeah, I'm curious about you, though, because aren't you, like, busy with real movie work? I'm surprised your agency, let you do this. And she very pointedly looks away from everyone, just, as some teachers come by, they say, like, oh, look, yeah, hey, kids, we need to borrow the room from you for today, because we've got to have the audiovisual stuff for a PTA meeting. When they come by, Himeki hides behind one of the tables. And so she's acting very obviously suspicious. They confront her about it on the roof a bit later. And she says like, "Oh, my manager's calling me. It might be about my shoot this afternoon." And the manager speaks in give information to the reader very quickly mode. And just says like, "Oh yeah, summer vacation. Your schedule's packed. You'll have no time to do anything, like work on side projects. Bye."
It is very like comedically handled. Like your schedule's super packed. You'll have no time to do anything, even if you wanted to. Goodbye. Click.
And then she like, after the phone's over, she just kind of like looks over at everyone, looking all serious and determined, just kind of nods. like, that was nothing, guys. Come on, yeah.
Let's get started on that movie.
So Hajime starts being like, "Oh no, I'll be interfering with Himeki Kurakui's real work that'll be costing all of Japanese cinema hundreds of millions of points." So he's like, I can't do that. But Himeki's like, if anything unusual happens, the school just gets in touch with my parents, so I don't really have a lot of like freedom to do what I want. And if they were to find out I was making a movie with my classmates, the teachers would probably be concerned and stuff. So everyone's like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe we can't do anything." But she says, No. This is an incredible work. If my agency sees it, they'll definitely be fine with it. As soon as we finish filming, it's in the bag. What if they find out before it's done? Then they will end it. Simple. And then Hajime looks over at Tenmaku and he's like, "I will kill you if you don't finish the movie." Tenmaku is no longer asking; he is demanding. So, Himeki is like, "We can definitely do this. Movie production team Shinichi is complete. We can." Oh, I've got to go. My driver's here, and just leaves all of them. Hajime's friends have agreed to make the movie without even reading the script. They read over it. The two less important friends are immediately brought to tears. And then Akitsu says, like, Himeki Kuraku has been in a lot of movies over the years. She's seen masterpieces. She's probably read tons of scripts by veteran screenwriters. And she wants to be in this movie so bad based on this script that she's going to keep it a secret from her agency. So I bet that this script is actually way more amazing than you realize. So Hajime finally decides to do the thing that he probably did a long time ago, and just do a bit of Googling and find out, like, who's this Takehiko Tenmaku guy who's haunting me? And it is a total mystery. He can't find like any results based on various different things. Like, okay, this guy, Ryu Shirakawa associations, anything like that, nothing. And eventually he gets distracted by Tenmaku coming to the room being like, "I want to see more movies." So Hajime asks him like, "Hey, which of Ryu Shirakawa's movies did you actually write?" And he points out like, "Oh, this one, this one, this one." And Hajime says, "Oh my god, these are all amazing." But there's no Tenmaku listed in the credits. Why is that? And Tenmaku says, "Well, obviously." Oh, I don't know.
Wait a minute.
This seems like an important detail I've only just thought of. And he also admits that he doesn't remember the moment of his death because his memory is seemingly just patchy. Important chunks of it are missing. It'll be fine. I'll remember eventually. Let's watch the movies. Hajime still can't find anything. Now he's actually curious, like, who the hell is this guy? Who is Tenmaku? As he puts his phone to the side, an image in some of the results comes up of when Ryu Shirakawa was on site somewhere, and someone who definitely looks a lot like Tenmaku was just kind of in the crowd amongst the crew observing things. And that's where we leave off on Chapter 3 of Tenmaku Cinema.
Yeah. Well, here's the important question, Nick. We're now 3 chapters into Tenmaku Cinema. This is where we have to make the important choice whether to keep reading Tenmaku Cinema or drop it to the voids of not reading it. What say you, Nick?
I kind of feel like we're both going to just say yes. I mean, I feel like we just both want to keep reading this.
All right, sounds good. We're going to read this. Let's talk about Mashle. Sorry, did you want to say anything about the chapter?
No. It was a good chapter.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird in terms of like, oh, that's an interesting conflict to introduce now, but okay. yeah, I'll just roll with it.
Yeah, I like this chapter. I thought there's like an interesting little wrinkle. I like that she's kind of got this funny little gimmick of just like, nope, everything's gonna work out. Stop paying attention to my voicemail, you weirdos. Like, pushing everybody away. Very funny. Nick, let's talk about Mashle, Magic and Muscles, though. This is chapter 153, Mash Burn Dead and the Time Slowing Magic. So Mash is back. And of course, Finn's like, how is this possible? It hasn't even been 66.6 hours yet. And Mash is like, you see? I told my friend on the other side I was in a hurry, so they sped things up for me. And Finn's like, that's all it took. Of course,
I just asked very nicely and ripped a gate that seemingly belonged to the eternal void of the balance of good and evil in the world out of the ground. And then he just kind of was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. We like touch a bunch of other characters who are all kind of speechless. It just kind of ends with him tossing Ochoa over to Finn. Like in a like small panel. But of course it zeros, like, you were no way you could possibly defeat me. Mash is like, I got some weight training, I think I'll be fine. Then a random person who is not named says, Innocent Zero, you killed my family, I'll kill you, and shoots a big attack at him. And Innocent Zero uses his time magic, slows it down, he like stops it with his finger, and then he's like, this week's spell should be enough to handle you, and he sends it back at him. And this guy is trying to run. He's like, oh, I need to get out of here, but I'm so slow. And then he gets impaled by his own spell. And Finn's there to be like, oh my god, his magic can slow down time. This everything he does is a cheat. And Mash shouts out, I'll avenge you, guy I didn't know.
You could have saved him, Mash.
Innocent Zero activates his time magic, thus slowing Mash down. Oh no! And of course he's just like, it is over. And he fires his spell. And Mash just ducks underneath it. He's like, wait, what? No. Alright, I'll do this then. And he makes like a whole bunch of his little needle arms and he shoots them at Mash. And Mash dodges them all. He just woof, 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 woof. And he's like, how is this possible? Time rates decreases the passage of time for a target by 1/100th. To a normal human, it should look like being frozen in time. How is he still moving? And of course, all this is happening as Mash like runs in front of him and slowly punches him in the face. He's like, no, I can't believe this. Oh, and now he's dancing.
Just doing the Russian step dance.
I love that moment. And now he's dancing.
He's taunting to build up his meter. What the fuck?
He's just like, we see Finn, who's just like, I know this all too well. Mash is just moving really, really fast enough to make fun of the fact, to make up for the fact that he's being slowed down. So Innocent Zero's like, how could you have gotten this powerful in such a meager amount of time? What did you do? Mash is like, I pumped iron, like I said. For like a year with this godlike person, all I did was wake up, eat, and pump iron over and over again. And time moved really slowly there. It was weird. Innocent Zero's like, the fuck is he talking about? Could trading in the Mindscape truly yield physical results? Or could a god himself really have lent Mash his power? And we cut to the higher deity who says, I did just that, in fact. For a laugh. So Mash just says, that's the gist of it. But am I really strong enough to defeat someone who controlled time? I'd say the answer to that is a big yes. And he clenches his fist. And Innocent Zero just ends the chapter by being like, interesting.
Outstanding.
Amazing chapter.
Yeah.
No notes.
How did you get so strong? Hyperbolic time chamber. Just cuz.
I'll avenge you, guy I didn't know. It's such a great moment for such an obvious thing. Like, oh, this dude who needs to show up because we need to demonstrate exactly how Innocent Zero's time magic essentially works. And then that's just like, I'll avenge you, whoever you were. Great stuff.
All right, let's talk about the Elusive Samurai briefly. It's chapter 107, Follower 1335. Yorishige is riding off to make a final stand to buy Tokiyuki the other's time to escape. Tokiyuki is objecting to this, demanding that he flee along with them, and his uncle headbutts him in the chin, which seems like it was very difficult to do considering the height difference and also the shape of his head. But he says, like, look, we've got nothing to lose, but Yorishige has something to protect. He can't allow his entire family to be punished, so he knows that he has to die in order to take sole responsibility for this defeat. And he was aware of that when he supported the Hojo cause and fought for the people of Shinano. He always intended to risk his life for those he loved, and I'm sure you understand such loving kindness. His death will not be in vain. So he's like, don't feel guilty. Don't criticize his death. Be proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, all right, now I got to go and do some stuff. Forget you are a Hojo. Behave as a child to a parent. Your argument with him warmed my heart because you didn't grow up in such a tolerant home. Now go make amends. Bye! And so, yeah, he's got work to do, so which means that he's got to run away now. Kojiro looks to Tokiyuki and says, like, I mean, what are you going to say to him? And Tokiyuki says, I was pretty mean to him. I should apologize. I have to aid him, though, because I can't apologize if he's dead. So that happens. The Hachiro, the younger brother guy, he shows up and is like, I'll help. And so it was like, all right, let's get moving. Yorishige, wades into battle, but he is not doing so good. We kind of cut ahead, and he's, his eyes are faint. There's arrows sticking out of his shoulders that are broken off, and now Takauchi is approaching him, and he looks over everyone. And is like, "You fought like a true war god. I commend you, but your numbers are small. Didn't you have more soldiers than us? What would happen to them?" So Yorishige says, I deplore meaningless deaths. So I sent half of my troops back to Shinano, and they will now serve a new god, which is that shitty little kid, little grandson of his. And he says, Tokitsugu and I take responsibility for this fight and shall fall on this battlefield. And Tokitsugu, the guy who is never noticed by anyone, virtually invisible all the time, comes up to attack Takauchi from behind, and he ducks and just kills him. Good thing that guy was their thing. But Takauchi says, sorry, but I too glimpse the future. When a commander is a weak-willed puppet, the uprising takes the name of the real leader. And this will be known as Suwa Yorishige's War. I'd hoped your name would not go down in history this way. And then there is a ring. And everyone's like, what the hell's that name? And someone's ringing some bells. And we cut back to some advice that Tokiyuki got from Kusunoki, the expert of fleeing and stuff, who says, when fleeing with an army, it is wise to flee while fighting. When a commander flees alone, it is wise to abandon weapons and armor, expel all thoughts of offense and defense, dedicate yourself to flight, and then you can even evade a god. And Tokiyuki has taken off his armor and just appears straight in front of Takauchi and is singing, Demon, come this way to the ringing of my hands. And he says, the lord of this battle determines the rules of engagement. Kill me and you win. If I escape, you lose everything. And that's where we go. All right. So big chase going to happen between Takauchi and Tokiyuki, it looks like.
Yep.
That's where we are.
It's exciting to a certain extent. Like, hey, turnabout. We're not just going to watch Yorishige, proud, noble warrior sacrifice. There's another little turnabout in there. And who knows, maybe a stupid kid's going to live. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. He'd look dead. Anyways, let's talk about Black Clover, Nick. This is page 358. Flame Burial. So last time, it looked like Mario Leona's hands had been disintegrated off, and they were.
They were.
Morris, the evil scientist who has now become an angel, has all these creepy little hands that go everywhere. And Mary Leona tried to punch them, and they took her hands and disintegrated them. So she's made new hands out of fire, which is they can punch. It's magic. He goes to explain that his specific type of magic is like an operation magic. It dismantles everything. It can even dismantle the Neverland spell. So it doesn't matter that she keeps punching these tentacles and destroying them, because he can just form instantaneously new ones from mana. So it's a losing fight. She will never regenerate, or he will regenerate faster than her body could possibly hold up, even if Mereoleona is just, you know, a crazy blood knight or whatever. She just screams, "I don't give a shit, I'm going to hit this guy." We cut over inside the city where Fuego Leon is leading the rest of the Crimson Lions. I think there's more to their stupid, the Crimson Lion Kings.
Yes, which is a little bit too much. It seems
one too many words. He's riding on Salamander's back, and he's fighting these angels, and he's doing everything he can. But they're like, "Oh my God, isn't there anything we can do?" Fuego Leon looks back, and he sees his sister in this kind of losing fight. She's screaming, but the hands have broken through. It looks like they're about to get her when two random members of the group, maybe these characters have shown up before, I don't remember them, jump in the way and are like, "We believe in you, Mereoleona. The rest is up to you, ma'am." Morris, of course, just kind of giggles. He's just like, "Oh, you burned both the tentacles of the allies who shielded you. That was tremendously efficient." And Mereoleona is just like, "I'm going to hit you no matter what." So that spurs on the rest of the Crimson Lion Kings, who are like, "Yes, shield her, like help her keep up on the offense." Morris is just like, "This is very useless. There are so many lives being sacrificed as all these people jump in the way of his attacks as Mereoleona tries to punch through." But Fuego Leon kind of realizes something. He's watching from afar, and he's like, this guy's physical breakdown and regeneration, it's not infinite. He has a limit, and Mereoleona is noticing that. Like, she can see that there's like kind of blood dripping from his like where his arms are, and she's going for it with her entire life here. So he gives like a big little shouting thing of just like, "Oh, no matter how foolish or incompetent you are, Master Luscious will recreate you and make you equal." Mereoleona's like, "Shut your mouth, puppet. We rule, you suck." Burn. And does this big attack. And she looks like she's broken through, and she shouts, "As a tribute to my fallen brigade members, I swear I'll burn you and my life to ashes." So, you know, who knows what this means? Because on one hand, you're like, I mean, Black Clover keeps a lot of characters around, but we did just canonically kill off the great hero Jack the Ripper. So
yeah,
maybe
Jack the Ripper can die. Yeah,
anyone's on the table.
Yeah. I guess we'll see how things turn out on that end. It is, I think, legitimately a cool moment for Mereoleona, who has never been a favorite of mine in this series. But just, you know, having her like have this seemingly unkillable foe that she's just like, "Nope, I'm just going to keep on throwing myself at it until eventually I kill it." Was executed well, I think, and the final shot of her just like her body just increasingly becoming fire as she whirls towards him is a cool look. And I do like that as she gets closer, the guy actually starts to be like, "Oh, this one's scary." And we'll see how things turn out here. And also, we'll see if like all the people who die in this just get brought back as angels later. So, yeah, that is going to do it for that chapter. So we're going to close things out with some One Piece.
Da 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 da. All my friends are here. Well,
yes,
most of them are actually here. There's a lot of characters in this chapter.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. One Piece Chapter 1081, 10th Ship Captain of the Black-Beard Pirates, Kuzan, featuring a cover page where no one from it shows up in the chapter proper, because it's all the boys in the straw hats just kind of taking a nap together.
Yeah. They're just sleepy little boys.
Except for Chopper, who's reading a cookbook.
He's
Not
sleeping.
Chopper. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Sanji. Sanji's got the cookbook.
Yeah, he's probably because he's thinking about boys. Yeah, Nick, think about that.
Yep. So Garp just unleashed a big-ass attack while getting involved in the whole Blackbeard Pirates situation. His Glorp boy...
you remembered his
Marine,
name?
Uses his glorp powers to make the ground soft where Garp lands so he doesn't shatter his legs, I guess.
Well, he makes the ground glorp so the ship doesn't get crushed. Garp just kind of fucking superhero
lands. Yeah. So, Garp looks around after all the devastation he's caused, and he's like, after all these years, I'm losing my edge. I was like, shut the fuck up! You wrecked everything.
You messed up my whole house.
Kobe comes out and calls to Garp, and everyone's like, "Oh, hey, Kobe made it." Helmeppo is happy. It's happy that his buddies are still alive. Yeah, and so like, all right, yeah. Glorby is upset that Garp has referred to Kobe as the future of the Navy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm the future of the Navy. Look at my hat." But as Kobe is running, he has met up with it's Hibari is her name, and she says like, I can't get his shackles off no matter what. And as they're running, she just freezes in mid stride directly behind Kobe as Kuzan has showed up. So things are bad now, and he says like, look, we can't have Kobe escaping when Teach isn't around. And we get a flashback to give us a bit of an explanation as to not necessarily why, but at least how Kuzan started working with the Blackbeard Pirates. It was 2 years ago after his battle with Aokiji had gone down, and he lost. Shows up on the Blackbeard Island, has frozen everyone in sight. And Blackbeard shows up being like, "You! Undo your fucking powers!" But Kuzan's got a pretty badass moment because he's like, hey, if you try and use your tremor fruit right now, your entire crew's going to crumble to pieces. You're their captain, and you should know. You really think I struck first? Yeah. I'm in a state of mourning right now because of what's happened, so don't test me. Fuck you guys.
It's a pretty cool moment. He is kind of like, see what happens.
So instead they start drinking together.
That's what Blackbeard does, man. He just keeps drinking, has fun with people.
Yeah, and Blackbeard's like, I like the way you drink. And Kuzan says, yeah, I like how you drink, you sick bastard. And he's thawed the crew, and they're just all drinking together. And so they're like, oh, what did Akane say after that? It's like, two men who came up in the ranks together in a fight to the death. I could feel something boiling up within me. And he's just really bitter about it. He's like, you're fucking made of magma. Stop talking about boiling. Fuck you. And also, I've only got one leg now. Yeah, I can understand why he's bitter. That's understandable. Yeah. So they say, like, oh, did you, like, take an arm from him? Nah, but he should be scarred at least. So, oh well. And they also start, and they're just talking more and more, and they say, hey, do you think he knows about burn scar? And so Kuzan's like, what's that? Well, see, there's these 4 red poneglyphs in the world that are more important than any of the others. And 2 of the 4 belong to Kaido and Big Mom, but the other 2 are the ones we can't find. One of them is said to be held by a man with a burn scar. And Kuzan's like, is it me? I've got a burn scar. I was like, you just
it is a very funny
not...
moment of him being like, me?
You just got that one. But they say like, oh yeah, the man with the burn scar, he's got an all-black ship that he sails around in that swallows enemies in a gigantic vortex as they wander too close. So maybe it's some sort of devil fruit of power that he or his crew's got. And they're like, oh, I bet it's a government man. The world government's got dark secrets, and if they held one of the stones, it means no pirate would ever reach One Piece. But Kuzan says, I mean, I don't have any good memories about them. If I'd seen one of those red stones in Ohara, I wouldn't forget it. But all I remember was a good friend fighting back against the government, and the sad, lonely eyes of a little girl whose fate rests in the palm of my hand.
This is like an incredible backstory that we've all had the pleasure of like actually getting to see in practice, and I love that like Lafayette's like, the story sucks. Do you think
that sounds like boring?
Yeah. I think it's Jesus who's it's like, sounds like a real boring story.
Yeah, it's definitely a boring story. Not sad at all. Yep. But Kuzan overhears them talking about stealing his powers, and he's like, all right, how about I just freeze all of you? Fuck you guys. And And Blackbeard's like, oh, calm down. No. My man made a stupid suggestion. But no, I don't want to do that. Why don't you ride with us? And everyone's like, Captain, are you crazy? He's like, go on. You don't have a job. You got any plans? What are you going to do? You're being chased around by the powers of justice. But in our world, justice takes a different form. And Kuzan at first is antagonistic towards him, saying, he's like, I don't trust you just because we shared some drinks. And Blackbeard says, hey, have you got the wrong idea about pirates? Nobody said we were all the best of friends here. The only thing pirates need is an alignment of interests. And I've seen some people point out that, of course, true to being the true antagonist of the story, that Blackbeard's view on crews is completely different from Luffy's, who believes you gotta be friends to be crewmates. And being crewmates makes you friends, for that matter. So that's where the flashback ends, with being offered like, hey, you're a free man now, what do you want to do? And then we come back to the present, and Garp just says, put Hibari back to normal, let Kobe go, come back to the Navy. And Kuzan starts to ice up, and he says, you always did just like to say whatever was on your mind, and I'm afraid I can't help you with any of those things. I loved that about you, which is why I live my life the way I want now. And he attacks, throws a big, massive ice ball at Garp, and he says, are you going to kill your senior apprentice in order to save your protege? Don't be tied down by this nonsense. And Garp's like, I taught you to live in the moment. And so he breaks off out of the ice, and he says, listen up, Kuzan. Wavering is a sign of weakness. And he chokeslams him.
Basically.
But that is not the end of the chapter. You would think that that's like the end of the chapter.
I really
just
thought
based
it was
on
the end, yeah.
Yeah. But no, we cut away from that moment to find out where Blackbeard is, which is finishing up that fight that was having with Law over by Winter Island. And things didn't go well for Law. The Polar Tang has been ripped apart in the middle of the ocean. Its crew are floating aimlessly in the depths. Except for Law, who is beaten up, passed down the ground right next to Beppo. And Blackbeard says, like, you got no means of escape now. The 100 pirates whose hearts you stole at Rocky Port are all living in fear on Pirate Island. But if I bring your heart back with me, I'm sure they'd be in a celebrating mood. Yeah, that's scary. So Beppo remembers a little conversation he had with Chopper, where Chopper is like, yeah, I made a thing for you, but I can't guarantee it works. And it's a little thing that he takes in this moment in order to go Sulong and try and save his captain's life. And he turns into a very big, very, very big polar bear thing and starts attacking Blackbeard. And everyone's like, the moon's not out. How the hell is he Sulong right now? And it's like, he took a thing that Chopper did. But that's not the end of the chapter. Because we get one last moment of Law being forced to retreat, literally forced to, because he is being carried away to safety by Beppo. And Law's objected to this, saying, we can't leave the crew behind. And Beppo says, you gotta trust them, Captain. We came out of the frozen port in the north. We made it this far. None of us are gonna die. We made it together as a team, so you can't die now, Captain. Please don't die. And the last thing we end on is just a note saying that Law and his Heart Pirates have been defeated.
I mean, it's wild that both Law and Kid's crews were like defeated and sank to the bottom of the ocean. So I'm kind of wondering what like the fallout of that is. Like, I can't imagine they're eliminating those characters from the story. So it is curious to see how they will return. But it's an intriguing little end of the story. To me, this chapter is about Aokiji Kuzan. That's like the cool part of the chapter that's really, really interesting. I should say the cool part. I mean, the end's pretty cool as well. But
the ice cold part of the chapter.
Yeah. Just like the McDLT keeps the cold, 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 and hot, hot, hot. I enjoyed it. Good stuff. Really, really cool. I like that. Like, we've now filled out Blackbeard's crew like this.
It does make you kind of wonder what the hell Kuzan's doing, in a way too, because there's like he's picking up some information from Blackbeard's crew like right away from having joined them. It seems so. It's like, is he really going to be a pirate? So, um, but it seems as though this, for the moment, he is very dangerous, and of course, we know that from a lot of stuff that he's already done. Yeah, I guess that's it for this week's chapters. Quinn, tell me what was your favorite?
I'm gonna give my favorite this week to. I had to stop and think because as we read the chapters this week, I really ended up liking what we discussed by and large. I think I'm gonna. Oh, this is tough. I really have like 3 series I want to give like favorites to. It's like between Akane-banashi, Mashle, and Cipher Academy for me. You go first. I need to see how my heart feels on this.
Well, obviously, Kill Blue, if that's its name, is great. And, so I fully understand because it does seem like we had a lot of really good quality stuff, but there was no one super standout thing. I'm gonna go with, I think, and I don't know if I say this with much confidence, with Mashle, because like I said, it feels like there were a number of really good series this week, none that definitely stand head and shoulders above everyone else.
I'm gonna go with Akane-banashi, but I really did want to go with Mashle. I think I just had to pick one of them. My MVP is gonna be Aokiji, or Kuzan. Sorry, he's not Aokiji anymore. I guess technically he never was. It was the title. But I'm gonna go with him. I really, really thought he was cool. Like him kind of returned to the story, and yeah, I think this was actually a really, really great Greek manga.
Yeah, Maikeru is going to be my pick for MVP. I really like the little reveal about just how close he was with Akane's family. It's a nice little extra wrinkle into things, and I do really like the way that he talks about the kind of protectiveness that he feels towards Akane. It's just very human and sweet. So
Absolutely. The audience, by the way, picked One Piece as their series of the week, and they agreed with you that about Maikeru for the chapter or MVP of the week. I got distracted because autocorrect, I think, screwed Ninja, and it just has your MVP as mailers.
Mailers.
Which...
The mailers are my MVPs. All you who submit your votes through post the way that it should be done. Yeah, we don't count them up into the poll until weeks afterwards, but the only way to really vote.
I feel like the mailers is like the name of a new like antagonist group in Dragon Ball. Like it's like the mailers, and then like the individuals are like post stamp fucking envelope. Postage.
But they're all like, right? They're all
really post becomes postage. Yeah,
they're all weirdly like corrupted versions of it. So it's like Melumana.
Yes.
Exactly. Oh boy. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this week of Weekly Manga Recap. We will be back. We'll do something, I think, next week. As like I said, we said at the top of the episode, there's no Shonen Jump or anything, but I think we'll do something. And then we'll be back the following week to return to our just weekly format. We do the show here on twitch.tv/ReloT Wednesday evenings, starting usually around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can follow along by joining the Weekly Manga Recap Discord server, which should be, I think, linked in certain places. It's got a great community. We discuss the chapters as they come out each week. And also it's a great place to find the Google Doc that's been named by Ninja X3i, where you can track the polls that are done, where we decide MVPs and all that stuff. It tracks the recommendations for series that we have been given to cover. including the one that we are currently leading up to, which is going to be Fire Punch. If you would like us to read a specific series, offer a suggestion of your own, and maybe we'll pick it.
Mm-hmm.
We would also like to thank everyone who helps support the show and makes it what it is by supporting us on patreon.com/weekly manga recap, where we create bonus content for you guys to enjoy. You can also check out video versions of the show on youtube.com/weekly manga recap, which feature an opening sequence by Malajack Stillitz and Winsdale Cheddar, and occasional title cards by Steve Man, whose artwork you can check out by searching for Steve Man art, and you can find it generally wherever boobs are allowed to be drawn on the internet. And that is about it.
That's it. I think we're ready to leave. Gotta go. Tired. Wait, what else do we have to give you? All right. Do you want my soul? Will that satisfy you, listener? You can take my soul.
Are you doing a bit?
I don't even know anymore, Nick. I don't
Okay,
know.
this is very disheartening. Maybe we should end.
No, I had to laugh, or they'll think I'm serious. Ha! Bye.